Hormazd Sorabjee is the editor of Autocar India, and he now joins in to discuss just the same. Good to have you on board. I'm just going to start off, Hormazd, with the big picture, the start of 2023 versus the start of 2022. What do you think is the big differentiating factor?
Well, I think we need to look at 2022 to put some context. And I think 2022 was a phenomenal year. I think it was a year of India auto really rising. A couple of factors over here. We've sold more cars than ever before, 3.8 million cars. I think we've even gone ahead of Japan in terms of passenger vehicle sales, just passenger vehicle sales. So that's really quite something. We've seen a lot of trends. For the first time, we've seen SUVs overtaking the humble hatchback. Don't forget, hatchbacks have been the staple car of India since Maruti 800 40 years ago. And we've also seen the emergence of Indian brands like Tata and Mahindra, which really collectively have, become a group, a very powerful group in themselves. You've got the Japanese, you've got the Koreans, and now you've got the Indian group as well. So I think with that going forward, obviously there is been a lot of momentum. Whether that momentum will continue, one has to see, because really everyone's been hitting record highs, and sustaining it is, quite frankly, going to be a challenge. I think the industry is still benefiting from, the last bit of pent-up demand being mopped up, combined with the fact that, car buying has become more of, let's say, I wouldn't say a priority, but more of an indulgence which people want. So we've seen this especially in the luxury end, where sales have just gone through the roof over there. And you've also still got the semiconductor challenges, supply chain challenges, which keep a little tension in the pipeline. And funnily enough, that also leads to demand, because people know there are long waiting lists. So they kind of make up their mind fast to book a car, because they want to get it as soon as possible rather than procrastinate their decision. So really, it's been a fantastic 2022, 2023. I think, it remains to be seen if we can keep this level of momentum and pace.
Okay, interesting. That's the outlook for the next year ahead. Now, 2022 Hormazd clearly belonged to SUVs. They took a large share of the segment to about 42% versus 26% a few years ago in 2019. What's the outlook on SUVs in 2023?
So I think it's going to be more and more SUVs. I think the fundamental reasons for that, basically two reasons. One is customers like that body style. It's very practical for Indian conditions, because the new breed of SUVs are very car-like to drive. Earlier SUVs used to be very cumbersome, but they are not. And clearly, in that sense, they are more practical for Indian conditions. Bad roads, potholes, speed breakers. Speed breakers have become a huge menace in a lot of cities, which the SUVs kind of take care of. But more important, I think it's the manufacturers also which are pushing the SUV growth, largely because every manufacturer now is only launching SUVs. Even if you see the new players, everyone is fundamentally just launching SUVs. They aren't launching other body styles, and largely because there's a demand for it. And SUVs, there's typically a more margin. It's more profitable to make SUVs than hatchbacks or sedans. So really, that's driving it from the manufacturers. And so consumer and manufacturer both loving SUVs. You're going to see a lot more of them in 2023.
Okay, going to see a lot more of them in 2023. Hormazd, what's the outlook on the electric passenger vehicle space? Because there's been the likes of Mahindra that have entered the mass segment along with some of the other players. Tata Motors till now has been the leader with an over 80% market share. How would that emerge as a threat now for Tata Motors' market share?
Well, I think, 23, we aren't going to see too many serious players come in. I think it's 24, 25 when you will really see everyone come in with their new range of EVs. Clearly, Tata Motors have had a phenomenal kind of lead in this. In fact, Tata Motors globally has become a case study, because what Tata Motors did is they didn't, let's say, go the route of developing a bespoke skateboard and the most optimized electric architecture. They took an existing platform, quickly electrified it, put it into the market, And that's what really worked. And I think other OEMs are also looking at that strategy, taking an existing internal combustion car and converting it to an EV. So we're going to see that happening from you're going to see that happening a lot from Hyundai, Kia. You are also going to see Maruti maybe go down that route. The Maruti have huge EV plans, and I think in 25 they will be coming out with their range of EVs. We'll be seeing the concept of it at the Auto Expo next week. So I think 24 and 25 is when I see really the big push coming. Right now, there is a lot of demand, but I think demand will keep growing. It's frankly, it's what Tata Motors can make. They are controlling the EV market. If they can make more, EVs will go up. But having said that, EVs aren't the most profitable cars in the range. The juicy profits still come from the legacy models of theirs. EVs are still quite expensive. So I think, even OEMs will have to balance out how much volume they can give, because margins on them are not great at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, but Hormaz, given that right now it's all about urban SUVs, right? Any second car that you see on the roads is an SUV, and that's one space clearly all auto majors are vying for. Tell me who's going to win this battle, because all of them are coming up with newer and upgraded models. Um, year after year, you've got, I believe, two coming in from Maruti as well at the upcoming Auto Expo next week. Who's going to win the race, and who's going to continue to enjoy the largest market share?
So I think Maruti combined with Toyota will continue to rule the roost. I think what we have seen is a quite a new technology which they have kind of, let's say, brought in and democratized, which is the strong hybrid. It is a superb transition between ICE and EVs, and I think it's going to be a long time before we switch completely to EVs. I don't even know if it'll happen in our lifetimes, but I think hybrids are offering a great solution. In fact, hybrids today are the new diesel, and Maruti and Toyota have taken the lead on that. So that's going to be interesting how it pans out. Whether they can hybridize vehicles lower down the range remains to be seen. That becomes a little expensive, but they might just go the all electric route over there. But the force of Maruti and Toyota, I would still say they will continue to be the dominant force in the industry. You've got the Koreans as well. You can't write them off. They're doing fantastically globally. Both Kia and Hyundai have got great products lineup. So I would put them, right behind. And, then you've got as I said earlier, the Indian or the domestic players, which is both Mahindra and Tata, which have both significantly upped their game. In fact, 2022 really belongs to, India Auto Inc. Because if you've seen the growth Mahindra has had, the growth Tata has had, it's been absolutely phenomenal. In fact, these brands have come of age, and consumers are actually warming up to them despite their very high price point. So that's very, very significant, because earlier Indian brands, people only bought them because they were cheap. But now people are looking at them because they're even desirable. They have a certain level of reliability. Still, I wouldn't say as good as the Japanese, but they're coming in with a lot of features, a lot of tech. I think Mahindra's XUV 700 is really a case study on how to launch, a product in India. It's really kind of carpet bombed that whole segment, and so that's something which is really helping Mahindra a lot. So I think these three groups are going to be there. Everyone else, I think, is going to be pretty marginal. We really don't see companies like Honda doing much. We've got Stellantis, which has come, but they really haven't started firing on all cylinders. Very, very small sales. And you've got the Volkswagen Group, which also has had a fantastic year, in fairness, and a great credit to that. But looking at their future product line, I don't think they'll be able to sustain, that pace of growth the way the other three groups have.
Interesting. So let me put you in the spotlight. It seems like, the Japs and Koreans are a clear favorite with you in the affordable urban SUV segment. Which are your top two picks?
Well, I think again, I would say, right now, the Tata Nexon is the flavor of the month. I mean, it's really doing extremely well, and a large amount of the sales come from even the EV variant, for which there is a huge demand. So they've really captured that. I think again in compact SUVs, I would again put Maruti right there with their Brezza. They've done fairly well. Yeah, so I think it's really these vehicles, the Korean vehicles. You've got the Venue and the Sonnet, but I think they are fantastic in terms of features. They do very well, but somehow they haven't really had that big tasted the same success the bigger cars have, like Seltos and Creta. Largely, they're slightly smaller. So I mean, short answer is I think Maruti with Brezza, Tata Nexon. Uh, Cars which are actually quite practical and deliver things on space, ease of running, ease of maintenance, that sort of thing.
Thanks very much, Hormaz. Good to have you on board and discuss the latest in Motown.